Run, was all Strider could say, getting all of the horses to run away from the incoming danger. Anastasia and Dandelion were making sure all the horses were as far as they were from danger. Not seeing Strider in sight, Dandelion was worried, but Strider told his son and Anastasia to save themselves, and that is what the two horses did. They galloped along with the other horses as fast as they could, getting away from those men on their horses. It was an hour later. The herd was safe from the men and their horses, and they were near a forest terrain that they were all safe from the men on their horses. Anastasia wondered why some people on horses hurt others, but that was a question nor she or the others will ever understand. Everyone except Strider were present, knowing that they were all together. "Everyone okay?" Mitzi asked, checking on each of the horses. It wasn't long until she discovered Strider was missing. "Mom, where's Dad?" Dandelion asked his mother. "I don't know. I can't see him amongst the other horses," Mitzi replied, looking worried about him. "Was he captured?" Richard asked. "Possibly. He may have been captured by those men, but we don't know," Anastasia replied. "Tonight, if those men on their horses are gone, I'm gonna go find my dad and see if he's alive and okay," Dandelion said, to which Anastasia stood next to him. "If you want to go and find your dad tonight, then perhaps I will go too, so I can find him," Anastasia replied, but Dandelion cut her off and she continued. "I am not going to leave you go alone in case those men try to capture you too. I doubt those men on their horses will be there, Anastasia, but I do know you want to come to see if he's all right," Dandelion said. Later that night, the horses were slept in the forest where they just had to run, since the men on their horses tried to capture them. Dandelion and Anastasia were awake, and they had galloped towards the way they came, from when the man attacked to try to find Strider. While on the hill above, they didn't see the black stallion in sight. "Do you think he got away to hide?" Anastasia asked. "Only one way to know. Let's go find him," Dandelion replied, as he and Anastasia galloped down towards the hill, towards the meadow. Where they got to the meadow, they looked around, but they saw no men on their horses. They were not in sight. It was a good thing, although they had to find Strider. Within a few moments of looking around, they couldn't find him anywhere. It was either Strider got away, captured by the men on their horses, or was even killed during the fight. It was possible that would have happened to Strider, although that remained a mystery. Anastasia and Dandelion searched the meadow for Strider, even checking to see if he was hiding, but they couldn't find him anywhere. "I believe Strider's gone, Dandelion. I don't see him anywhere," Anastasia said sadly, thinking of what was to become of Strider. "What if he's still alive?" Dandelion asked. "Either he's alive but captured by humans, or he was killed while trying to get away. If he is still alive, captured, going to free him would be risky for us," Anastasia answered. "Your father would want you to take charge of the herd if something happened to him, Dandelion. He did say that to your mother the day I joined the herd." Dandelion couldn't believe that his father was gone. It was unknown to them if Strider was alive or not, but searching for him would be risky. Only if the men on their horses captured him. Anastasia and Dandelion wouldn't want to have the ideas of being captured, although the thoughts really terrified them. The buckskin stallion began to shed tears by the apple tree, making Anastasia feel bad for the stallion. She approached him and licked his face. Anastasia couldn't imagine what it would be like to lose someone she lost. When Emily was sold, but nothing like a family member's disappearance was heartbreaking to anyone. Anastasia let Dandelion cry on her shoulder, shedding tears herself as a means of feeling bad for Dandelion. "I'm so sorry for your loss, Dandelion. Strider would want you to take his place as leader," Anastasia said. "I know, so that means I'm in charge of the herd, but I would need help to lead the herd." Anastasia looked at him. As Dandelion said that, she had an idea. "Perhaps I can help lead the herd. I could be the lead mare if your mother will allow it," Anastasia said to Dandelion, making the stallion smile at this idea. "Of course, Anastasia, you could be the lead mare of the herd, But I will have to talk to my mother first and see if she's okay with it, Dandelion answered. The two horses headed back the way they came, although throughout the rest of the herd, they were sleeping in the forest. Dandelion and Anastasia were already asleep as soon as they found both a spot to sleep in, knowing that the next day was going to be a long one. The next morning, Dandelion was up along with his mother. They had talked of how Strider was gone and his whereabouts were unknown to everyone. However, Mitzi was okay with Anastasia being the lead mare, along with him being the lead stallion. Mitzi trusted Anastasia being the lead mare, knowing that everything would be alright for everyone. The herd was now being led by Anastasia and Dandelion, and this required them to make choices of what is best for the herd and for themselves. The horses traveled through the forest. It was a long walk through the forest, but Dandelion and Anastasia were leading the horses to find a safe place to be at, or in Anastasia's case, find her home to get Emily back. It was a long journey there, but soon as they found Emily, everything would be good as they could ever say. Once they got out of the forest, they found what looked like a large waterfall with a pond that followed it. Its fresh water made the horses stop to take a drink at the fresh water. Anastasia loved swimming, so she was the first horse to take the dip in the water. While in the water, Dandelion followed her in the water as well, cooling himself off. The two horses were swimming together by the waterfall, and as they were enjoying themselves and around the pond as they swam, Anastasia and Dandelion were falling in love. It was as if love was at first sight. Dandelion started to have feelings for the paint mare, as she was having the same feelings. Anastasia, do you feel safe with me as a leader? Dandelion asked. Yes, I do, Dandelion. I feel safe with you as leader, Anastasia replied, reassuring him that he was doing a great job as leader and as the lead stallion. She was proud that Anastasia was the lead mare, and deep in his mind, she was the mare that he wanted, all for himself and no one else. After the horses got out of the waterfall that was somewhat in the forest, the horses found themselves in a rocky terrain. It was rocky at the hills that were leading up towards the mountains. Anastasia never traveled by mountain before. However, she was a curious mare herself. That is the mountain terrain, we call it. We have to keep an eye out for mountain lions. They can hunt pretty easily, Dandelion explained to Anastasia. Now, she's never seen a cougar or a mountain lion in her life, since she never wanted to get eaten by a predator, so she stayed close to Dandelion as they led the horses up the mountain terrain. While going up the mountain, it was tough on the hooves. Most of them were hurting hooves from walking so much, but they had to keep going to keep the herd safe. To the left of Anastasia, she saw mountain goats with their babies wandering around the terrain, making her smile at this. She liked the sight to see a lot of things, but she kept focused on what was happening in the herd and where they were going. As they were walking, a growl of a mountain lion was heard. At the large cat was looking into biting any of the horses to eat. Mitzi was frightened by the large cat's appearance. The same was said for the rest of the horses. Anastasia thought she was going to pass out, but Richard the white Mustang got in front of the herd as he was protecting them from the mountain lion. The large cat tried to jump on Richard to attack him. However, the Mustang was wrestling to try and get the cat to stay away from the group. Dandelion kept Anastasia close to him, ready to protect her if the mountain lion were to attack her. With Richard fighting the mountain lion off, unfortunately the mountain lion got away by running off. Even with the mountain lion running off, they had to keep their eyes out in case there were other mountain lions around, so they had to go through the mountain terrain. After going up the hill, they all headed down the mountain terrain, getting down to the bottom of the mountain safely. There were other mountain terrains around the land, so they wouldn't have to go through them. It was still hard on the hooves, but they had to make sure not to step on any sharp rocks. They moved slowly around the mountain terrain, making sure everyone got down from the mountain safely. It was sundown when the horses made it past through the mountain terrain, and the herd decided to rest for the night, as long as no one was lying down on the rocky parts of the mountain terrain. Anastasia was lying down when Dandelion walked over to the mare, laying down beside her. Anastasia and Dandelion had become very good friends, and even though they were more than friends, since they were closer than they fought, Anastasia was fine with Dandelion sleeping beside her, as it means that he would be able to protect her from any outside dangers of the herd. Dandelion made sure that she was close to him, as Anastasia was slowly falling asleep. "I'll keep you safe," Dandelion would say, as Anastasia was slowly falling asleep, making sure nothing was around to hurt them. Predators were out hunting at night, so Dandelion was going to do his very best to not only keep the herd safe, but to also keep Anastasia safe as well. The next morning, Anastasia was the first one out of the herd to be woken up early, eager to watch the sunrise. As she watched the sky getting brighter, she saw a small herd of horses down below on a field, not far from the mountain terrain. Dandelion woke up to see that Anastasia was awake, so he headed over to where the paint mare was. "Good morning," Dandelion said, catching Anastasia's attention. "Good morning, Dandelion. I see a small herd of horses down below." Anastasia pointed with her nose at the small herd of horses, to which they were laid down below it. It wasn't as big as the herd Anastasia was in. "Sounds like this is a small herd. I don't see any lead stallions around. Maybe we could ask them to join our herd," Dandelion replied, before turning around and he looked at Anastasia. "Why not go talk to the small herd and see if they're willing to join us? I'll wake up the rest of our herd." After Dandelion left, Anastasia headed down the mountain terrain to meet up with the small herd of horses down below. There were 2 stallions and 2 mares along with 2 foals. They all paid their attention on Anastasia as the paint horse mare approached them. Curious as they were, they slowly approached Anastasia with caution. "What brings you here, mare?" one of the stallions said. He was a bay Mustang. "Me and my lead stallion saw you guys down here, and we were wondering if you want to join our herd," Anastasia said, making an offer to the Mustangs that she was meeting that they were new. "We lost our herd for a few days due to a bad storm that happened. We stayed here while the others ran off," the bay stallion explained. "That must have been rough," Anastasia commented. The Dandelion came down the mountain terrain with the other herd following him down. "Hopefully, if it isn't too much to ask, do you guys want to join in the herd?" Anastasia offered. "How many of you are there?" Mitzi asked, approaching Anastasia. "Just me, my best friend, 2 mares, and 2 foals with me," the bay stallion replied. "What are your names?" Dandelion asked. "I'm Brownie. My best friends' names are Spades, and our mares' names are Sky and Everest. The foals' names are Ash and Diamond," Brownie said, introducing his family along with his family as well. "They're coming to join us. Our herd is like a big family," Mitzi replied. Brownie and his family joined the herd along with his friends and their family, and so far they were nice Mustangs, and even they seemed to like Anastasia a lot. However, Dandelion was there to tell the other stallions that Anastasia belongs to him only. He was protective, sure, but he didn't want Anastasia to be hurt by anyone outside of the herd that just joined or outside of the herd in general. When the herd continued down the hill to a field path, only to find Anastasia's way back to Emily, as well as finding her a new home to settle in. The afternoon rolled around with the horses further from the mountain terrain, but they were at a meadow to rest, as well as graze some of the grass that was growing on the ground.